common question I get in AWS classes on generative AI is what's the difference between fine-tuning a model and using RAG for customizing a model? Well, first off, RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, and it doesn't actually change the model. In say Bedrock, we have access to hundreds of different pre-trained models that were built by various companies like Amazon, Anthropic, Meta, the list goes on. They're trained on a certain set of data, generic data, not specific to my company. They can only answer so much about my company without having some extra data. And with Retrieval Augmented Generation or RAG, what you do is you set up a knowledge base and point to a bunch of documents or to relational databases, wherever your data is, and you instruct that the foundation model that you're using should go and grab that data and use that in its output. And so you're grounding all your responses in your data. But the foundation model itself hasn't changed significantly. It's just using this extra data. If you really want to change the model, that's what fine tuning is. So fine tuning is where you take an extra step, where you take the pre-trained model and then you train it further on a smaller labeled data set of your own data. And it's going to adapt its internal parameters for a specific task or style. So this is how you can teach the model a new skill or a specific tone, something very specific to your domain, to your industry, to your company. But it comes at a real cost because training a model is pretty expensive. And so these days in Bedrock, they have both options. So there is knowledge bases. You can go set that up pretty easily. Or if you want to customize a model, now we actually have a couple of options. So fine tuning a large language model is, the result is still a large language model, but it's just got some more domain specific knowledge. There is a newer technique even called distillation, where you're going to generate synthetic data from a large foundation model, which is the teaching model, and you'll use that synthetic data to fine tune a smaller student model for your specific use case. So you're building a smaller new model that you're going to use to answer your questions. And so that's kind of a newer technique. So now there's sort of three options to be able to incorporate your own data into these foundation models. One is to not change the model at all, just use RAG. Two is to go and do some extra training and change that fundamentally that large model. And then the third is to generate a newer, smaller model. If you want to learn about some of these techniques, you can check out our 2-day Developing Generative AI Applications on AWS class.